Hello. Wow, that light's really weird. Just a moment. Everything looks so red in this room, but that's because the walls are orange and yellow. And so, as you can see, I'm in a different room. My hair is kind of insane. That was on purpose. I was experimenting with it for a video. So, trying to get it halfway out of the way. But it's all crazy. Okay. Hope this works out okay. Wi-Fi ways. And there will be an alarm going off in 5 minutes and for medication, but it's all right here. I'm gonna see how this room is for doing videos because there's a door in this room, so there's more privacy. I just feel weird, when you live in a house with another person and nothing to talk about anything I don't want anyone to hear about. It's just nice to have that. And so if you have lived with family or a roommate or something, I guess you know what I mean. So I kind of like the lighting in the other room though. I'm gonna get a curtain. The doorway is shaped like this. This used to be the attic, and there's no door that would fit on there. But I'm gonna get a curtain, and that might muffle. That will give me a little more privacy, and I can go back in that other room because this is like my inner sanctum. And just me and my dogs are allowed in here, but I'm giving you this privileged view of how I like things. It's really, I'm just gonna throw this out there. It's very interesting in personality traits between my mother and I, as far as decorating goes. She's constantly changing things. See, we agreed. She gets downstairs, I get upstairs. So, she's constantly changing, painting the walls or getting a new comforter, going from these colors to those colors, just constantly changing. And it drives me bananas because it's like everything is in flux. And I like things to have places and then be in their places. And then when I like where they're at, that's where they're going to stay for a very long, long time. And I like to, and she likes the like Japanese type style where there's surfaces and there's, minimalist a little bit. And I have stuff, I mean, it's not hoarder like, but I have a lot of stuff and, like, my walls are covered with stuff, and I have things, and these things are what make me feel safe and comfortable and happy, you know? So, this is like my inner sanctum, my sanctuary. This is where I can be me completely. Everyone needs that. For some people, it might be some meadow out in the woods, but for me, it's my living space. And as you can see, like, I have a Star Trek poster, I have Harry Potter stuff, I have my witches' hats. Um, those are Xena things back there. It's just, um, and I'm surrounded by this stuff, and when I see them, they make me feel warm and comfortable and safe, and that's a ghost. That's my dog because it's 10:30 and the alarm's about to go off. But he knows before it even goes off, so that's why he walked up here. Yes. This? Okay. Okay. Just a second. If you don't mind. It's Thursday. I have to look every day. I have to look at what day it is. Because I don't know. Because my brain's been affected. But he makes sure I take it at the same time every day. And that makes a difference. It really does. And then I put it away. And give him another one wandered in. I have to give him a treat. It smells a little funky in there. Good boy, thank you. Let me give him one or two. Ouch. Okay, we're all done. Thank you. No, Ben. Okay, so feel kind of weird doing that in front of you guys, but there it is. It does make a difference. Taking your medication at the same time every day. I used to try to pull. Well, I want to stay up late tonight. And that's okay every once in a while, but try just like randomly being off. If you're struggling with moods, then it's definitely really important to take your meds at the same time every day, except for your as needed meds. Okay, so I specifically wanted to make this video because the last video I made, I talked about a TikTok video that I made, and it bummed me out because I didn't get any likes, and I thought it was really funny, and I was surprised and disappointed and was ready to just dump everything on the floor. So I'm gonna tell you about my lesson learned. My lesson learned was that, you don't always know the why for why things happen. So, um, which it goes along with you can't read minds, I guess, but, you don't always know the why, and so here I was all disappointed and ready to just chuck social media out the window. Um, I took a second look at the video and noticed that maybe my choice of music was the problem. Because in the video, I was talking about psychosis and I made a light of it in pure, um, as someone who's experienced it can. Um, but the music I used was Nirvana's Teen Spirit. And I thought some people might have thought that was in poor taste. Um, I mean, it didn't have anything about suicide in it, but still, I thought maybe there was an association with the music that I chose in the video. So I stripped that music and put just this innocuous uh, instrumental stuff, and I got some of my highest likes. So you can't always assume things are the way they are. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you don't have all the information and you can't just assume. Um, like if you're waiting for a call or and you assume, oh, that person doesn't want to talk to me, and you can't assume things you don't know for sure. So it doesn't help to get upset about things you don't know and um or to make decisions about things you don't know. And um and it also helps that if something is upsetting you or disappointing you, to set it aside for a while and revisit it. And you may notice something you didn't before. You may feel differently. It may not be as affect you as strongly as the first time you saw it or heard it or whatever. Um, so I am apologizing because I didn't take my own. I'm obsessed with my hair. My own, what I would tell other people. So, um, there's that. And so now I'm like fine and have no problem with a whole 3 people here. Um, but it is also true that as human beings, um, for the most part, do require, um, you're welcome, um, do require some validation somehow from somewhere. Um, Now there are people who are like hermits um and that's their prerogative, but for the most part we all need validation um as human beings. I have a cold. No, I don't have COVID. As I don't even think it's a cold, I think it's allergies. Um whether it be something we do, like our work or a project, just our feelings, um, or just us as a human being. We all need validation. And, if you're in toxic relationships, you could be getting just the opposite of that, which is not good. That's what was happening to me at the animal shelter. It was toxic, and I wasn't getting validation for my work. It was just a mess, but I'm just using that as an example. Um, and I am, let's see, late June, August, September. So 2 months out, and from that kind of toxicness, the opposite of validation, I feel so much better physically. Um, not to mention mentally, I had to go through a lot at first when I got out, and I'm gonna show you that later. Um, but and then some people are in situations where they aren't getting it either or, which I think is just as bad because I have I I do have a pretty good ability to validate myself. I think some people do and some people don't, varying degrees, or depending on your state of mind or where you are in a mood. Um, but I'm pretty good at like looking at something I did and saying, "Hey, that's pretty awesome. That looks nice." Yeah. So I, I don't care if you don't like it or you don't think I think it's pretty awesome, you know. But I do need occasionally someone to say to me, "Well, it's good that you're helping people," or "You're really creative." I mean, just simple things like that can make a difference. It can like change your whole day. And like I don't think my mom has a very good I'm gonna use her as an example. Um Self-validating ability, because she's like, "You're just so creative. I wish I was creative like you, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She makes quilts, and I mean, like, these huge, intricate, tiny pieces and all these colors, and I'm like, "What do you mean you're not creative? You sta I can't do that." And, I have a lot of patience, but I don't have the patience for that. Um, so, um, I think that just but if you're, like, isolated and there's nobody to just, like, say something just something small, um, and you're trying to self-validate, um, for us, it depends on, um, really, we're at the mercy of our moods, and, so it's twice as important to have a person who can do the validating. And it's, like, ironic that, um well, yeah, we have those depressions, and to have someone reminding us of things that we do or can do, um, or are as a person, but I mean, that's understandable, but what about when we're, high and things are, we think we're all that in a bag of chips? Um, we need we need a little devaluating actually. Come down, come down. You're not that special. Um, but anyway, as I was saying, if you're isolated living, if you don't have anyone, um, to bounce things off of, and especially getting validation, that would probably cause a lot of, if you were in a rough spot, a lot of, turmoil in your head trying to figure out, um, are you okay as a person or not? Um, so I don't have an answer for that, but I am acknowledging that if you have someone around that does help you see things clearly regularly, you are fortunate and lucky and should be grateful because there are people that are trying to do it all on their own. Am I okay? Do I have any talents? Is it okay that I think I write good poetry, but I'm not gonna be a famous poet? You know, and sometimes we can't do that for ourselves. So if you, maybe know somebody that could use some validating, you could, maybe sometime make a point of just pointing something out that they do, you know. There's gotta be something, and sometimes people shoot you down when you point out their good traits, um, but I'm pretty sure they really hear the compliment, like, inside somewhere, like, "No, not really," but there's a little thing inside of them, a little creature that's like, "Oh, I got a compliment from somebody thinks whatever I that painting is nice," or I excel at it could be anything, a video game, handwriting, just an idea, you know. That's a really good idea. That's validating. It's easy. So, um, and I know my mom has a hard time doing that for herself. So I do make a point of stopping in her sewing room and asking about the project she's working on and how it's going and, you know, like that. Kinda, I'm not into sewing. I'm not, that's not my vibe. That's not my thing. Um, she actually makes my cloaks for my witch costumes. Um, so and it helps me with altering. So she's nice to have around. But anyway, it's just because I know how it feels to get that validation and how important it can be. Rather than somebody complaining, when you know you're working your butt off, going far and beyond your call, and all you get is negativity, is very defeating, and it makes a person bitter, and and bitter people are horrible to be around. So do your part to not be bitter and not make other people bitter. Help them along a little bit. Um, some people, but I do think there are some people that enjoy being in a bad mood. You know, they like that negative space. It's really bizarre. I don't know why. Maybe I should have been a hippie. I don't know. So that was the first two things I wanted to tell you about. My apology, and that I tried to read minds, and but I did go back and look at something a second time and noticed a problem, changed it, and got a result. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is graphing moods, because I came up with that because I was graphing my mood. And I've been doing it on and off since I was diagnosed in many different ways, many forms I made, forms I got in the hospital. I do know I got some good advice from a psychiatrist who, when I was going through the long, stable period I was in, my psychiatrist that I had told me to stop graphing. It's not needed, and it keeps you identifying with your condition, your illness, your disorder. Disorder is the word I like. And just live your life. Don't identify, live your life. If your moods are off, or when you're first getting diagnosed and getting medication and stuff, yes, that's a good graphing time. And so I was going through a hard time. So I picked up the graphing again. And I tried color coding, I tried apps on my phone, and the problem was always they didn't allow for two things mixed, because, like, where do you put it? If you want to put depression way down here and mania way up here, where do you put mixed? And also, it would just be like, you have to pick a certain time of the day and mark your mood at that time every day. Well, what about those of us that you can wake up in one mood and you feel it happen, and you're in a different place? You're in a different mood. And I would like to be able to mark that down. And a lot of those graphs don't allow for that. And just writing it down, you can't see any patterns and stuff. I do journal. Okay. This is my, I don't know what you want to call it, really, my collection of output. It comes out of me, it goes in here, and that's the only space it takes up. I don't carry it around with me. So I have, let me find my mood. Okay. So here is my mood one, just a composition book. And then I make a I started out with it like this. I made my own graph on the computer, and all I did was make a table or whatever you want to call that on Word on the computer. And I just put the numbers in for day of the month. Each thing is a month. And I put mixed way at the top because those are very problematic places to be. That's a bad place to be. That's the worst place to be for me. So I put it at the top. And then I put manic. And then I put hypomanic. And then down below that is normal. And below that is depressed and then very depressed. Now, the difference is depressed, I can still walk around and do stuff. I just feel awful. And very depressed is I can get out of my bed. And so, as you can, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. This is when I was having problems at work, and there's like this whole row of X's. See, those are all normal mood. I was having a normal mood, but all the writing is me saying my mood's normal, but my anxiety and tension is terrible and through the roof. And then all of a sudden, here's when the major event when I just resigned. I plummeted down to depression. And then I had a period of depression up into mixed and manic, normal, up and then down. This was, I was having, and then here in, this is July, June, July. This is before, yeah, July. This is about a month after the event at work when I resigned, because I didn't like give them notice. I just like, here I typed this up. I'm leaving now. I've been harassed. You didn't do anything about it. You're not going to address it. I'm leaving. So, up here, mixed. That's about a month after. I had irritability. When I write irritability, I don't just mean I'm like mixed and irritability. I'm a little agitated. If I put irritability and I take the time to write it down, that means I'm like having outbursts and swearing and throwing things and slamming things and yelling at people and out of control. And then I just wanted to point out, see, I tried color coding for a while and it was no different. It was just a waste of time. So then in August, I have some nice normals, a nice long line of normal mood. That's when I started to settle down. That's when, see, wait, I had an episode of mixed up here and then came down and had this, but was still having this weird anxiety in the evening. And, but my body was starting to get healthier, and it took a while. And here is September. Now look, there's not much. It looks neater, tidier. I still had some depression here, but most part pretty normal. I had a brief up right there. Um, but no anxiety. The anxiety's gone. Um, and I have October started. And October look at that, nice and neat. So nothing, I didn't write anything in the margins, or that means that's a good day. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy, but I do recommend putting the mixed at the very top of it, and then manic, and then hypomanic, normal, depressed, very depressed, and leave some space or something where you can write in anxiety. Or there were some places where I had depression, I wrote um, appropriately depressed, because during that time when I resigned from my job, I was depressed, but it was appropriate to the situation. You want to know the difference between appropriately depressed or bipolar depression. So just write, make little notes, and that's why I put it in the book, so I can, um, had an argument with somebody, or um, but I also wanted to point out it took 2 months after a major event for my brain and body to start to settle down. You know that graph, that not that graph, but there's like a score sheet where if you have these things happen in your life changes, um, they score different, how stressful it is, and each one has a different score. Like losing your job, getting a divorce, that's like really high up there, and you add up all the numbers at the bottom. Well, I when you have a very, very high stressful event, even good things like you had a baby. Yeah, the baby's awesome and beautiful and you're in love, but I wouldn't know, I don't have kids, but I'm imagining you would be, but you're definitely stressed. Um, so it can take you, you're not gonna, it's very likely that you're not gonna feel better right away. Um, you might have to go through a little bit of a roller coaster before the dust settles. Um, and excuse me. Um, I am. I've had some big. I've had some really stressful things happen. Very disappointing things, depressing things. Um, and that I felt terrible after when I came home. Like when I came home from the hospital. Um, Things are always different than when you left. People treat you a little differently, and things like, especially now, people are having trouble with jobs, money, childcare, trying not to get sick. Um, so we right now in the election, I think we all are walking around with a certain amount of stress, and then you add in any stress that your body, mind, or 'cause are going through. And if you're constantly in a state of stress, then I have a feeling your brain is gonna respond that way, gonna react that way and be unstable. Um, and I can't emphasize how much a schedule is important, um, especially when your mind is not settled. And I'm gonna go on a tangent here. I say your mind, and I mean, your bipolar, uh, neurotransmitters malfunctioning. Your brain is part of your body. I would like to get out of the habit of saying your mind as if it were something separate from your body, because it's not. You know what I mean? Um, that drives me bananas. It's not like my brain doesn't exist in my body. It does. I have a biological bodily disorder. Um, and so, like somebody who has any other disorder, stress affects it. Autoimmune disorders, diabetes, it causes their state of wherever they're at to go off the rails, and they have to get everything back under control, get the stress down, and it's gonna take a while before they get back to where they were if they can. Um, so anyway, uh, so go back to graphing. If things are not steady or you're curious, um, I think it's helpful because a lot of the times I remember mood changes. I think they were longer than they really were. I think they were worse than they may have been. And it is a way for me to go back and say, well, my mood wasn't off that much, but I was have these other things going on like anxiety and which is stress, which affects how you feel. Um, and you can also go back and say, now this event happened here and now I'm here. How did things go? You know, did I am I getting better from the looks of all these little X's in these little boxes? I think so. I hope so. Um, but I find it helpful is for me, um, I have a poor memory, and so it is helpful to be able to look back for me to um go back to where there was an event. And I'm hoping that for me that I'm finally settling in. I think I've accepted that I definitely do better when I'm not working, but I still feel the drive to earn, like, even if it's just like a little spending money. And I think that's another thing we just naturally feel like doing. And I tried the dog training thing, but people just aren't doing that now. I don't know if they're worried about money or um, things are uncertain right now. Um, and so I did tell the vets that, well, if you have clients that need someone to just walk their dog while they're at work or something, I'm more than willing to do that just for a little extra, you know. I have enough money to pay for the stuff I need. Um, I just would like to have money to spend on whatever I wanna spend it on and know that I earned it. It wasn't given to me. I I think that's a natural desire for people. Um, when we can't do that, we feel all kinds of horrible things about ourselves. Um, and so my latest venture is um, doing something that I did for me because I enjoyed doing it, and I got a lot of compliments on it. But I noticed, like on Etsy, people sell stuff they make. So I make witches' brooms, and I'm not talking just like a stick with some bristles on it. They're fancy. They um, wand holder on it with the wand and in it, and like here's one, but I made this for me. See it. I have more than one. I found the stick. I dragged it out of the woods. That's how I make them. I'm walking around town dragging a stick behind me. I look like a loony, but to transform a stick into something is fun, and I'm really just curious if anybody would buy a witch's broom. And I I made that for me, so I wasn't picky, but I'm making one now that's, obviously I like Harry Potter, and so it's everybody likes Gryffindor more than the others, so I went with Gryffindor. It's going to be a Gryffindor themed broom. And it's sleek, it's shiny, it's got some gold glittery thing on it. Um, I'm still working on the broom itself. That's what takes the most time because you have to do coat after coat to make it smooth and shiny. And it's just a stick I dragged out of the woods. And broom stuff I bought at Dollar General that smells like cinnamon really strongly. It's supposed to. It's going to be interesting. And I'm really curious. And I don't care if nobody buys it because it's going to be awesome. And I'll just have like 30 and keep them because making them's fun. I do ones too. So, but I need a lathe and they cost money. um so I don't know why I'm telling you this. Um Maybe just that I understand if you're not working and um for whatever reason, if it's because of your bipolar disorder or other health problems, that I understand that feeling of it's like an impotent. I can I have trouble saying words. Impotence. with yeah, I get enough money, it comes in the mail, I'm fortunate. Um, we don't have to pay rent, the house is owned, my car's paid off. I'm fortunate, but w to feel useful or yeah, create something somebody else wants, a a product, be productive, um, and, um, so I guess I'm just telling you that because I'm letting you know that I struggle with that too. Um, I don't want to just sit around and watch TikToks and whatnot. I want to be a productive person somehow in some way. Um, sometimes we can't. Sometimes we're not in that space to do it. But I am. I can't work. I know that. I cannot work right at least right now. Maybe ever again, because it appears that my bipolar disorder has made a weird change. I'm doing good now, but I have to do a lot to stay there. I have to stick to a strict schedule, take my meds at the same time every day. I have to get exercise every day. I have to go out. I make sure I go outside and get sunlight for at least 15 minutes. My entire day is geared towards keeping my mood stable, and that's my job. But it doesn't pay any money. So, um, anyway, so yeah, I struggle with that, and I think everybody's that experienced, the inability to earn money due to their illness. I mean, I guess there are people that are I imagine the people who are working the system are the people who don't mind not being productive. Um, and um, and those people that truly need to be on disability and are on it are the ones that struggle with the idea of not being productive in contributing to society in some way or take care of yourself in some way, you know. Um it's it is frustrating um that I've had to now leave behind 2 prestigious, rewarding careers. Um, one because of bipolar disorder and the other because, well, I resigned because they were jerks, but I'm not getting a new job because I was not well, and I didn't become well-ish until recently. It took 2 months, and my all my work every day is, um so, anyway, I'm gonna be getting ready to get off here. Um um, I stayed within the limits of what I was allowed to earn, um, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. Um, I reported it and everything. I did everything I was supposed to. Um, but these days, people have such trouble getting on disability. I have considered that um, it would be wise to be extra prudent. Anyway, so I imagine that on the 12th, I'm I'll be live. I'll do a live that night. Um, it's my birthday on the 12th. Not happy about it. So I might need I have a therapist appointment. I'm not happy about this birthday. So I might need some help getting through it. Um anyway, I'm gonna go and get ready for bed. So thank you guys for listening to me, and I will talk to you soon. Night.